and welcome to an episode of Automation, the car company Tycoon game. In this episode, we're going to be doing something that's kind of like a Jensen Interceptor. I've been doing this where, I've decided to do a car that's kind of like another car. But with this one, it's actually going to be decently close to a Jensen Interceptor. So let's scroll down here. Wait, I gotta try to find it. It's going to take a second. This one right here. So, panel material. Okay. Panel material is steel. Chassis type is ladder. Chassis material is steel. Engine placement, front longitudinal because it's going to be rear wheel drive. Front suspension, double wishbone, and then in the rear, we're going to have a solid axle leaf suspension. Next up here, it's going to have to be a 60-degree V8 engine because a 90-degree one will not fit, as I can show you in a minute. And during some year, I forget what year, but anyway, during one of the years, they had a 7-liter, the 7.2-liter V8 engine. It was the 440 cubic inch. There's right about 7.1 liters. I'm not going to go too high on that. Anyway, it's a pushrod engine because we're talking about the 1970s and a Chrysler product. It's going to have a pushrod engine. Crank, it's going to need to be steel, and it's going to need, this is going to need to be lightweight forged. This, it'll have to be forged. Turn the quality up just a little bit on that. Now, the reason why that's going to need to go a little bit higher on the quality is because the compression ratio is about like 10.1 to 1. The cam profile, it's going to go up a little bit because the highest octane you can get for about this year is 98. Now the issue is that because it's not modern and you don't have fuel injection, it requires very high octane fuel to run it. So carburetor, there's different things for different years, but the one I'm using is a 2-barrel carburetor, but 3 of them. And then the intake, a racing intake because come on, we love a racing intake. Super leaded fuel. Now fuel mixture, I'm gonna need to put that up a bit because it'll knock pretty easily, I bet you. Actually, we'll keep it right there and we'll see what happens. 6,000 RPM, that's where I want it. Fuel system quality is gonna have to be up to probably. Now for the headers, tubular dual, and then let's see how 3.3¼ inches does. Straight through and straight through because this is a V8 and it should sound good. Okay, so without actually messing with anything, can't talk. Without actually messing with anything, we're at 413 horsepower and 484 pound-feet of torque. That is a lot more than what the Jensen Interceptors had. Because the Jensen Interceptors, they were detuned compared to the regular Chryslers, like in the Dodges and that sort. Obviously, we have quite high emissions, but that's to be expected. As far as I can tell, nothing needs to be changed. I mean, yeah, we got a crap ton of power. And really, I'm not going for a realistic amount of power. I'm just going to go for a fun amount of power. That sounds interesting. What if I go with racing tubular headers? Will that change how it sounds? Bit that actually does sound a little bit better. Anything else I can change here? The engine isn't knocking or anything like that, so I will probably run it a little bit leaner. I'm going to run it a little bit leaner so that we can get a little bit higher fuel economy, even though fuel economy really is not the point of this car, but it's kind of obvious, isn't it? You know, that is probably one of the quickest things I've actually done here. Yep, that is done. It's very quick. Here we go, we got the body. Now, I will say that there are a lot of parts about this that don't look like a Jensen Interceptor. For example, on the rear end here, this on the regular Jensen Interceptor is very curvy, whereas this isn't. I'm going to extend this back a little bit, and it won't go up any. The Jensen Interceptors in real life, they had kind of a little bit of a curvy back end, really. As for the front, that's not really going to change. Okay, next up here, I'm going to change the paint color. What about darker aluminum? And then I noticed that this doesn't actually change much. It's probably just me. Who knows? Well, I know. It is me because I am very incompetent. The Jensen Interceptor had 4 front headlights. So, I mean, here is a headlight. That is a thick headlight. Okay. That is, I mean, the only reason to use that would just be for really shits and giggles. But that's not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for something maybe like that. Okay, so rear wheel drive here. Not automatic, manual. A 4-speed manual, that's what they had. Top speed, I'm gonna set it to about 155 because in one of these cars you wouldn't want to really go over 155, would you? I was reading something about the Interceptor, and I heard that it had a limited slip rear differential, but for at least this model year, it's not an option. You have to go all the way up to 1981 for it to be an option in the game. But I think I'm just gonna go stick with my open differential. Actually, an automatic locker, why not? That sounds kind of complicated and fun. Next here, radial tire. Let's go with the sports compound. That sounds pretty good. Okay, so tire width. Right now it looks really stubby and stupid and weird. So in the rear, 190. In the front, I think 185s look good. I didn't actually search up or find what it would be for this car. So we're just gonna go off of what looks pretty okay. I'm actually gonna tuck the front wheel in a little bit more. Maybe put the back one out a little bit. 200 rear tire. I think this thing is gonna slide all around. That's basically expected here, isn't it? And I know that this thing didn't actually have drum brakes, which is good for the time, really, because disc brakes were just really becoming a thing, if I'm honest. I forget when, but it was so long ago that Toyota stopped using drum brakes. It wasn't. I think it was the 1980s or 90s when they stopped using drum brakes on like their Corolla and whatnot. I wonder what the newest car to actually use drum brakes is. Probably maybe some Chinese thing or whatnot. Semi underbody cladding. Active aero, yeah. Let's in 1970 think of how to have active aero on a car. They probably weren't even thinking of how to make anything of this car computerized. I mean, like, seriously. Okay, so this is a 4-seat car, so take away the bench in the rear. For the interior, premium interior, and why don't we go with a premium 8-track? Hydraulic power steering, because why not? How about advanced 60s for the safety? Next here we got the springs. The springs are, well, the standard ones are more sporty than that, so we're going to go with that. And then a gas monotube is just better all around, and the muscle car thing. So, low comfort penalty. If I go for that, let's just do it. Taking the last corner here. It hit about 120 or so. And right now we're at about 1 minute and 20 seconds. Last corner. And will it break 130? Yes, it did break 130. Okay. Time is 1 minute 29 seconds. Now I happen to know that that is not very good. I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. I mean, for a car from 1972, yeah, that is pretty good. Anyway, pretty fun, actually. This is kind of a fun episode. I do really like the Jensen Interceptor. But anyway, hopefully you like this episode, and goodbye.